President Cyril Ramaphosa says he stands by his decision to suspend the public protector. He was responding to an ultimatum from Adv Busisiwe Mkhwebane demanding that he reverse the decision by 5 p.m. yesterday or face court action. The president suspended Mkhwebane with immediate effect last week, pending the outcome of an impeachment process carried out in Parliament. Mkhwebane then lost her bid to interdict that parliamentary process that's basically going to look into her fitness to hold office. Let's talk about the situation. We're joined today by political analyst Professor Dirk. Kotze. Prof, always good to have you on Newzroom Afrika. So the president basically calling the public protector or the suspended public protector's bluff. How messy could this get, do you think?
I don't think it can develop much further than this. She has exhausted now almost all her options from a legal point of view or from a judicial point of view. We know that she also approached the African Commission on Human Rights. But over and above that, it is the legal truth is more or less now being exhausted. I think what it is going to continue, maybe for the foreseeable future, is her personal exchanges with President Ramaphosa, but nothing really that can influence the decision that he took.
And the impeachment process is yet to get underway, the hearings at least by the members of Parliament. Would she be better off, the public protector that is, fighting for her job through that route versus this now off-stage, shall we say, face-off with the president?
Yes, I think she does have a chance there because ultimately this process, as you said, they have commenced already. The first phase, and that is of the panel of 3 legal experts, that has been completed. The vote in Parliament, in the National Assembly, on their report and to establish a multi-party committee in Parliament, that has been completed. And that committee has now commenced with their work. One part of this investigation by this committee is that they will approach her and she will be able to present her case with legal representation there. And then ultimately, in the end, it requires a vote with a 2/3 majority. So it becomes, in a sense, it's a semi-legal process, but ultimately the politicians are going to vote about it, the different political parties. And not all the parties are necessarily in the same position. And that is, I think, where she still has a chance to make, to see if she can't at least avoid the 2/3 majority, which is a tough task in order to reach in any case.
I wonder to what extent you think the president has himself worked himself into somewhat of a tricky situation by announcing the suspension of the public protector just a day after she had, through her office, confirmed that she would now be investigating a complaint against him related to that Phala Phala farm robbery. Could he have timed it better?
This is a very difficult question because, this process in the interaction between him and her sort of goes back to around about March, when he sent her a message to say that she must give him reasons why he should not suspend her. And then at the end of May, she did provide him with that document. So in a sense, that was coincidence, if I can put it in those terms, between the situation, the exposure about what is going from a problematic situation, and then the suspension that took place. So that sort of event, that current of event, that took its own sort of way of reaching to the point of the suspension. But I think the fact that she, or that this exposure happened about the game farm is something which complicates it and might have contributed for him to speed up the process. We will never really know whether that was one of his main considerations, but it doesn't stand on its own, and I think this is what the public in general should understand. It didn't happen on the spur of the moment. It was this pre-history that really led to the suspension at this point in time also. So a number of factors, therefore, I would say, in the end contributed to this, to the timing of it.
Professor Kotze, let's talk about the issue with, shall we say, some South Africans at this point, the inability to understand, or at least to accept, that it is quite possible that the president may indeed have a criminal and ethical case to answer as far as Phala Phala. But there can also at the same time be legitimate grounds for the public protector's suspension in a logical world, in a realistic and reasonable world, these two things can be true at the same time, no?
Yes, that is so, but as I try to explain now, the legal process and the process that is unfolding in Parliament can have nothing to do with what happened to the president. And up to a few days ago, that actually was the case. And the Constitution quite explicitly says in Section 194, the third subparagraph, simply the President can or may suspend the public protector once the process in Parliament has commenced. Nothing more. It doesn't say under what type of steps he has to take, whether he had to approach her, whether she must respond to him, nothing. So it's also therefore not much of a discretion that's necessary. No, the mere fact that it commenced in Parliament is sort of the trigger, the catalyst for this process. And that has happened. So President Ramaphosa, in a sense, can say, well, I didn't have to decide about it. It is the mere fact that the Speaker gave the go-ahead in Parliament for this process to continue, led me to the process of the suspension.
And how fair is the assumption, do you think, that just because Advocate Mkhwebane has been suspended, her office would not be able to conduct a thorough investigation into a possible ethics breach by the President?
Yes, well, the point is the public protector the office of it doesn't consist of one person. It doesn't consist only of the public protector herself. It's a whole array of staff members there. There is the deputy public protector who is now going to be the acting public protector, and many others. That's part of that staff. And most of the work, the majority of the work is done by that staff. It's only when it is concluded and that the reports must be finalized that the public protector in her own right sometimes become involved in it. So it doesn't depend on the incumbent, on the public protector Mkhwebane. It's an office that stands there in its own right. It doesn't depend on individuals.
But the personalization and politicization of the public protector's office has been happening for quite a while, hasn't it? Even from the era of Advocate Madonsela, where reports, for example, are seen as the reports of the public protector, when indeed they're actually reports of the office. And I wonder to what extent you think that has done harm to the office and its ability to function in a democratic South Africa.
Well, I think the reason for this is that the public protector functions within quite a politicized environment. The mandate of the public protector is to investigate maladministration, corruption, fraud, all sorts of unethical conduct within the public sector, institutions of the state, and related to that. So it does not, for example, as the mandate to be able to investigate matters between private entities. So it is because it involves the state and very often unethical or maladministration. It is by definition almost politicized. So it is very difficult for them to maintain a middle position or a sort of a completely independent position which does not pull them to the one or the other side in political matters also. And we've seen it with the former public protector Thuli Madonsela when she dealt especially with the state capture report, that she was right in the midst of it. She did not try to align herself to any of the factions within the ANC, for example. But at the same time, she had to maintain a very independent position, which can be interpreted in political terms if you want, but it doesn't have to be that. And now the same with the current public protector. She sort of advanced into the position of the public protector was within already a very politicized situation. If we can go back to the process in Parliament where she was appointed, it was the parties took up different positions there. For example, the EFF did not support her initially. Now they are much closer to her. That's just one example of the political dynamics related to her. So I think this is where we are stand at the moment. It's unavoidable. It has some political connotations.
Professor Dirk Kotze, always good to have you. Thank you very much.